Hey, what's happening, everybody? Job Guys back with you again. Nick Hortz, Ryan Slocum here, and man, another terrible week, and we are going to try to make some sense of what's going on. An awful pay-per-view, Nick, which was Extreme Rules. You and I both said one of the worst shows we have ever seen, and then another Raw on Monday that was just not good. 1.6 million people, as low as it's ever been.
And thing sucks.
We've been saying that the product has been at its lowest point now for a couple of years, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. You and I have both said 93 to 95, universally known as the worst time in wrestling history. Absolute garbage. You know, we don't have to tell you why. Yeah, and we think this is worse. I would rather watch 93 to 95 than the crap that I've seen over the past year, maybe even 2 years. It has been that bad, and again, keeps getting worse. So you and I are sitting here thinking, we're like, how did we get to this point? We know a lot of people have talked about that, but how did we get here? How the heck can they fix it? Well, nobody's saying that we're going to return it to the Hogan days, the Austin days, the NWO days.
Obviously, can't come back.
Right, but how can we at least get maybe to where they were with 93 to 95 when at least they had Bret Hart? At least they had Shawn Michaels. So you would tune in and go, well, okay, Duke the Dumpster sucks, but I do have Bret Hart over here. Yeah, so
Diesel,
how do
you know, he had at least a handful of guys who could go.
Yeah, how do I
not that could go that you cared about, really. That's the thing, because the guys can go today.
Yeah. So their roster is as good as it's ever been. I mean, they got dudes that can go. They got guys that can talk that aren't obviously mostly allowed to talk. So we each have 3 reasons how we got to this point. How the heck can maybe they fix that? And there's some that are obvious that you probably heard on every other show on earth that get beat to the ground. We're not going to talk about those because we know everybody knows 50-50 booking does not work. We're not going to talk about 50-50 booking beyond right here. Scripted promos, we know that ain't working. They got to let people be themselves. You know, whatever happened to be yourself with the volume turned up. That's how you get over. We all know that. That's been beaten to death. Nick, we're not going to talk about stuff like that, right?
No, and I think we should also add in, it's been talked about, too many belts, just taking away from the other belts and the prestige of having the belts.
Yep, doesn't mean anything.
I'm sure there's a bunch of podcasts on the belts out there too, and reading on them. And we're gonna skip a little on the overexposure. We realize, you know, there's wrestling on, I think, 4 or 5 nights of the week now.
Right.
Guys and gals are showing up on all 3 shows in the WWE.
Yes.
So we realize that overexposure of wrestling and superstars is also a huge problem today.
Yeah, we and you and I have talked about that. We don't want to see Sasha and Bayley or Charlotte and whoever's been on all 3 shows. We don't want to see them on all 3 shows. We got that. That's why you have a brand split. They've screwed that up. That's been beaten into the ground. Not going to talk about those things, but we are each going to talk about 3 other things and say, hey, man, like I said, this isn't going to turn into Stone Cold probably, but these are things that freaking suck, and they need to do something about them now, because next week it's going to be 1.5 million, and the week after that it's going to be 1.4, and it's going to keep going until they get canceled. So, Nick, why don't we start off with you, man? What do you got? Your first thing, what do you have, man?
Well, looking at my notes, man, we threw together a pretty good list, I think. I'm going to go just the overall format of the show and the way the show kind of runs. Couple things on it that I have a huge problem with: giving away matches on the show. It seems that before we see Bayley fight Charlotte, they fight on the Monday night or the Smackdown going into, and the challenger beats that one in a non-title match to illustrate that Charlotte can possibly win at the show. You should have built Charlotte to me at this point. If she's getting a championship shot, she should not need to win this title. This shouldn't even be taking place. The first time we see them touch one-on-one, should be the pay-per-view,
right?
And not overexposing them on the air. With that, I just think that's the matches on Raw. I used to back in the day really love a good wrestled 20, 25-minute match because they only happened maybe once or twice and they were at the pay-per-views. Now they're happening every Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday.
3 times. We had at least 2 matches Monday that were 3 segments, man. And nothing really happened until the 3rd segment,
Right.
Well, how about with the format, Nick, just the way it's structured, the actual format? You and I have talked about that forever. It seems like it's the exact same show that it's freaking been since 1997.
Someone comes out,
down,
cuts a promo, gets interrupted. That match is going to take place. Now, that match could end up being a 25 to 35-minute match, or somebody else is going to intervene, causing it to be restarted later as a tag team match.
Right.
It just, the same stuff happens over and over again.
Cookie cutter interview in the back, then another match, then a cookie cutter interview in the back, then maybe a promo in the ring. And that goes on for 3 hours, week after week after week. Now, how many times are we going to see, like right now, an example, ever since WrestleMania, if not the week or 2 before that, Zelina Vega and Charlie Caruso cut the exact same promo every single Monday night.
Bump that.
She says something to Andrade or the other dude about, hey, there's trouble with you guys. And Zelina goes, no, down here, honey. Hi, how you doing? And then she says there's nothing wrong. Then
the one guy will give a rose to the host.
He hits on her.
Yep.
Every week, it's the same stinking thing. And I
still don't know anything about those guys.
Nothing about them.
You stink.
Plug and play, man. And
no
there you go. Character development. You've got 3 hours, dude. Even when they're in arenas, I kind of understand a little bit. They're like, hey, we got 10,000, if that, paying fans in this arena right now. We got 10,000 fans. We don't really want to do vignettes. It makes them feel like they're getting ripped off, because they're paying for this and they're not getting to see it. So they do an interview in the ring or something like that. Well, now there are no fans. There is no excuse for them not building these characters. Whatever. Why are Andrade and the other dude fighting? Why is there? Take us in the gym. Maybe they get in a fight in the gym. Maybe they get in a fight at home. Take them. The only time they've done it, which has been about twice, was that Viking Raiders Street Profit BS where they were fighting the contests. And then that one time the Viking Raiders were in their car driving around, which was a disaster.
Now, what you did was bogus.
I could not agree more. I've said they should have maybe a backstage announcer, interviewer, parking lot interviewer, ring interviewer, so they can do multiple different styles as the show. And I'm telling you, now that you've got no fans and certain things can be re-recorded, there's no excuse. No. There should be none for having everything in your pre-recorded promos, interviews. They should run smooth. Everything look good. If it doesn't look good, shoot it again.
Shoot it again. And AEW has done a great, and I don't want to make this a WWE AEW thing, but they have done that. They've realized, okay, there's no fans here. There's no reason why we can't shoot a promo on the moon right now. We can do it anywhere we want. Shoot the Bubbly Bunch thing they did. They were all at their own houses, and they just shot stuff with their cell phones. There's no reason why they can't do any of this stuff, but nope. We've got to have cookie cutter interviewer in the back, interview in the ring, 8-segment match, interview in the back. Charlie gets hit on, Zelina gets pissed.
Go back, the NWO in the hotel room. When there's the NWO when they jump guys outside. DX did some really cool things outside the arena. Yep. They've both shows have done. I mean, go back and even in the 80s, the Horsemen. Didn't they get Rhodes in a parking lot?
Yep. One of the most famous segments ever. Yeah. They're at the point, dude, and they have been, where they are at that Russo point, where they need to do what Vince did when he picked up the Raw magazine, assuming this story is real. This is what the show needs to be. And he completely 100%. Wiped everything they did, they started from scratch.
Well,
they really need to do that with their format. Shoot, segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, rip it in half, write a new one.
That's a great real segue, Sloke, into what I had coming up next on this one. No real consistency.
Yeah.
And I'll just read you a couple things I had in my head. Referee actions, they differ from match to match. You know, even on the same show, like this match can be restarted. That match wasn't restarted.
Right.
This ref can run it. Like that doesn't. Police actions differ. You know, what is punishable? What is punishing? Pushing a ref gets a suspension, but Randy Orton burns down a house and arson receives nothing. No penalty, no nothing.
Bray Wyatt drowned a guy
fine.
Sunday.
Pulling out someone's eye is fine, but Hell in a Cell, we had to stop that match. Hell in a Cell went too far.
That's a huge one.
But Orton, I mean, what's his face? Rollins pulling out Mysterio's eye. Every time security or the police are involved is freaking puzzling. Why don't they violate people that are doing, like they're violating a restraining order? The guy's saying, I got a restraining order. The cops got the ring surrounded. The guy is within 25 feet. He is already violating the restraining order. He doesn't have to go get him. You can push and fight cops, and sometimes you're not arrested on the show.
Yeah.
But Becky Lynch is arrested for interfering in a tag team match.
Right.
Before, like, there's no consistency with this stuff. They got to change something up because fans or no fans, this is just unwatchable.
Right. And that goes without saying. Obviously, they are dealt a bad hand right now with what's going on in the world. But don't act like, I just got done on a phone conversation with someone. They act like everything was great in February. It was not great in February. Oh, I'm sorry. They had 1.9 million people watching going into WrestleMania. My fault. No, it's been bad. Things were not rosy and great when they were in front of people. It sucked then too. Obviously, it's gotten worse. One of the reasons it's gotten worse is because, my first point, they have tried a little something different on their pay-per-views. A little. They have left the arena on their pay-per-views. And everybody liked it at first, or most people, and you and I warned them. These cinematic matches are not working. They are not. They are really, really bad. Everybody, for the most part, seemed to like the Boneyard match, and then the next night, they liked the Funhouse match. I'll continue to say the Funhouse match was garbage, and you got just suckered in because they played the NWO music and they played the Saturday Night's Main Event music, and you turned into a little child again, and that completely blinded that this is pretty stupid. But you got blinded by the fact that you
cheated out of your match.
And there was no match. You
didn't get your match.
Yeah, you didn't get a match. You got a 20-minute promo. I give them that it was somewhat creative, but you didn't see a match. So anyway, but it's just gone. Whether you liked it or not, you cannot argue. There is zero argument that these things have steadily gone downhill from there. Every single pay-per-view, they have gotten worse and worse and worse. And you want to talk about things that don't make sense. We know wrestling is fake, right? But there are rules within the wrestling universe that you have to follow, even if it is fake. You can't. There are rules for Game of Thrones. We know there is not really fire-breathing dragons, but you accept it because that's over here. We know that, name the zombie. What is it?
The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead. There's rules there. Wrestling, there's rules here as well.
Yes, things you cannot do. In Game of Thrones, and I've said this on your show before, someone on Game of Thrones can't have a machine gun.
Right.
It doesn't exist in that world.
Right.
In The Walking Dead, one of the zombies cannot all of a sudden be intellectual and sit down and chat with you and knows how to drive a car. You know, these things don't, you're a fantasy, but existing within the boundaries of a reality.
Of reality, yes. And that's why the Boneyard match doesn't work for me, brother. That's why Bray Wyatt does not work for me, brother. That's why The Undertaker even has not worked for me, because I've seen him shoot lightning and I see Bray Wyatt in the Boneyard. He lit something on fire by either he has very bad aim or he was just trying to scare him by lighting whatever he lit on fire. You know, this Bray Wyatt stuff does not work because it's just, if I want to watch a horror movie, I will watch a horror movie. Then he drowns the guy, apparently. Like, that isn't for me. I know some people like it, but here's the thing. Some people do like it, and I'll give that to them, and that's fine. I'm not telling you not to like it.
Bogus!
But you have to tell me that there's a whole lot more people that don't like it, because there's a whole lot of audience that they are losing consistently with all of these things. You may like the flip-flop and fly matches. You might like the newer style. That's fine. I like some of that too. But the majority of people don't, or they would still be over 2 million. They still would maybe be by 3 million. They're at 1.6. They're at 1.6. So you're in the minority. Sorry, you are. This isn't good. Everyone keeps getting worse. The King of the Ring match was worse than the Boneyard and the Firefly. The whatever the frick that Street Profits match against the Viking Raiders was.
What is it? I don't know what it's called.
That was maybe even worse than this last Swamp match. I'm not sure. It's was
one of
right
those
there.
Two for the worst one, but I'm just to piggyback a little bit on you. When people watch this, and I know some people are happy, like they say, screw everybody else. They don't want to watch wrestling. That's fine. I like what I'm seeing.
Right.
There's no way to expand the product, grow the product. The product doesn't get better. Matter of fact, we could start to lose the product because people aren't watching.
Right.
You know, and so when they say these things, and when I watch these cinematic, people need to think, what if someone is watching this show for the first time or returning to this show for the first time since they left when Austin left? They're just checking it out, flipping through the channels, and they see one of these things.
Yep.
They see the Street Profits and Ninjas, or a tentacle in the garbage can, or they see Braun Strowman chained to a chair, or these
all
things,
of it. They see all of it.
Right.
They're going to turn around and they're going to look at you like you're crazy. It's already hard enough being a wrestling fan.
Yes.
Then because people still don't like it. But then when you add in all this stuff, it's just, it may work for a small amount of people. It does not work for the broad scale. And you are losing people like you and me. We have numerous fans. We're like 40, okay? You're losing all of us. Or dang near all of us.
And it's getting worse, because when me and you are coming close to leaving this thing, you're in some real trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm missing shows right and left. In some of them, even if I have them DVR'd, I'm just deleting them. I'm like, well, it's already Friday. The next Raw will be on in a couple days. Smackdown's on tonight. I'll just delete Monday Night Raw because I just forgot about it and didn't watch it.
And you didn't miss anything.
No.
You didn't miss anything. And again, you're a couple of old guys. You probably want to watch the Rock and Roll Express, Jim Cornette. No, I don't. I do not want to watch that. I didn't like that either. I would like somewhere in the middle. I don't need a 7-star Tokyo Dome flip-flop and fly, and I don't need freaking Rock and Roll and beautiful Bobby Eaton. I don't want to see that
there's
either.
More than 4 pay-per-views a year, and there's a weekly shows and things like that. We're well aware it cannot be like it's 1987 again.
Yeah.
It's not possible to run. No, people aren't buying different. The prayers, the training, and the vitamins. I know they would. That stuff wouldn't sell.
No.
But this stuff is not selling either.
No.
And when you're replaying WrestleMania 3 and it's damn near getting as many views as some of your other shows on a replay from a 33-year-old show
that everybody's seen 1,000 times,
you got to start to wonder, how good is what we're watching?
Right. And again, you're in the pandemic, so you have to try new things. Okay, you did try a new thing. Well, the new thing isn't working either. This new thing isn't working, so go do something else. I really appreciate you trying something different with these matches. And again, and it goes back, it's counter to our other point where we said, well, you're in the building, leave the building. You can leave the building. You don't need to be at the Performance Center. But every time they do, They have to do something goofy. They have to Vince it up. They have to overdo it.
Confused.
Nick, I'm done with that. What do you got for another topic?
Well, let's go. How about the part-timers? I haven't liked these guys since they started it. I should rephrase that. I am a fan of was a fan of some of these guys. I cheered the NWO, but I love to hate Bill Goldberg back in the day. Me and you, even through all this Boo Cena stuff, I've had fun with it. I thought it was funny but I've always been a real Cena is, he's one of those guys in my book that argues he's close to a 5 or a 6, maybe on the top chart up there of all time.
He's, if not top 5, he's very close to it.
He's close if he's not. So some of these guys, I don't hate them, but their time is like, I just don't see how they're doing it. You bring these guys back like a Goldberg. I mean, I know he's a little old. Maybe you think he can still go. How does Goldberg destroying the Fiend? Let's not forget, he destroyed him.
2 minutes and 10 seconds, I think.
After the Fiend had withstood, how many did you say? Like 10?
Oh, it was like at least 10 curb stomps.
Curb stomps by Seth Rollins. He destroys and beats Seth Rollins. He destroys Jerry the King Lawler. Not that that's big. He destroys Kane. He destroys The Miz.
Right.
He destroys Daniel Bryan.
Everybody.
I mean, The Miz and Bryan are two guys you're still trying to make money off of, or with, out there, if you will.
And you crapped on him.
And he murdered him. And then you bring back, how old's Goldberg? 50-something? He's got to be.
Over 50, 53 or something.
And this 50-year-old guy that wrestles maybe once a year for the
last 15 years, 18 years.
Just defeats the Fiend just to try to pump a pay-per-view.
Straight cash, homie.
I'm not a fan of the Fiend, but dear God, why wouldn't you let someone else on your real show?
Now he's garbage. Now he's garbage.
And they are. Then you bring Goldberg in, and the Undertaker, love him or hate him,
once a year
brought this up on his pay-per-view. You're now on WrestleMania, Bill Goldberg, which is fine, I guess, but you are taking someone's spot. Whether you want to look at it being, I'm not saying it's wrong taking their spot. WWE offered me the money to take someone's spot at WrestleMania. I'm doing it.
Right.
But you look, like it or not, you're someone's not on the card or lower on the card in a lesser match because you're in the main event match for a WWE Championship title.
Well, in the Taker's case, like you mentioned, he comes once a year, and then maybe a couple of years more than once, and he beats a top guy. He beats a top guy. Or in the case of AJ Styles, makes a top guy look like a boob.
At WrestleMania.
What does that say about your top talent when some guy who hasn't wrestled in 15 freaking years comes out and beats a guy who's supposed to be one of your A-plus main event star guys? Now Bill Goldberg leaves, and I'm supposed to take the Fiend seriously?
Yeah. Well, Nick, we are seeing now, and this has been going on for 15-plus years, with the part-timers. We said 15 years ago, we've seen this movie before. We've seen this script before. It was called WCW.
WCW?
When they were, hey, ratings are down, put Hogan back out there. Hey, ratings are down, put Flair back out there. We've seen this before, and we knew one of these days, by continually having the top of your WrestleMania be The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, you have not mentioned yet, who shows up 4 times a year. Bill Goldberg, sometimes Hulk Hogan there for a while. The Rock there for a few years. We said this was going to freaking start to bite them, and it finally has. Because for 15 years, brother, these guys have been at the top of the card, and now there are no stars. And now all those old-timers, part-timers,
That jabroni brown blood.
Brock Lesnar now I would put in there. What else can that guy do? No one wants to see Brock Lesnar anymore. We have seen him fight everyone. There is no one his equal anymore or even close to it. There's no one left for any of them to fight. There is no stars because you kept giving top spots to those guys. Now they're screwed and they got nothing.
And not that it's immediate future, but down the road, what are you going to do in 15 and 20 years?
If they get there.
You're going to bring, but you're what, going to bring Baron Corbin back? You know, like anybody. I mean, if you don't like, if you think it's kind of bad that they're bringing Goldberg back, at least Goldberg was main eventer. You know, what's going to happen when they're bringing, they got nobody in 15, 20 years.
They're there now, Nick. This Monday. Who did they bring back this Monday? Your main event, which they pumped up for a week like it was Hogan Andre, was Randy Orton against the freaking Big Show.
Is Andre really
They once again, for the 700th time, tried to push the Big Show in 2 weeks and make you think he was huge to fight Randy Orton. I didn't want to see that match in 2004, let alone now. The other thing, Ron Simmons randomly shows up. This guy has not done anything more than cut his one-word catchphrase in over 10 years. That's all he's done.
Yeah. And you're moving more from part-timers to old-timers here.
Right. Part-timers old because there's nobody left. There's no other part-timers left. There's no other old-timers left. Now they're bringing in Ron Simmons to do angles.
Ric Flair.
Who knows where that's going? Ric Flair is a prominent guy back on TV again. Christian, who's retired, came back out on TV. Now that made sense because Edge came back. I understand that. But still, Christian, Edge is 46 years old. He has 2 matches. He has 1 real match, and he gets hurt. Then, but back to Monday. Ron Simmons. Then, we got a surprise partner. We got a new guy in our little stable. It's Shelton Benjamin.
What?
Shelton Benjamin wasn't over in 2003.
What's your name? I don't care. Shut your mouth.
2005. Whenever it is that he showed up. Yeah, people did want to cheer for him. He was cool. He was athletic. People wanted to get behind him. He beat Triple H a couple of times. That was 15 years ago.
Bogus!
And he hasn't gotten up since.
And This is where they're at now, where they're like, throw Shelton out there, Christian, Flair.
Bogus!
They got nothing left because they pushed those stinking guys for so long that they didn't build anybody else, and that cycle kept going because they had to. Every WrestleMania, they didn't have anybody, so they had to pump more of the big guys out there, the old guys, and now they're screwed. Now they got Ziggler fighting for the world title. You can sum up the entire problem right here. How the frick did Shelton Benjamin even get there?
Selling meat from a truck in Minneapolis.
There's no explanation ever for anything. Shelton Benjamin just shows up? Where have you been?
Hi there, fellas.
Shelton Benjamin, what year? Are you still on the roster? Let me check WWE.com. I didn't even know you were alive. All of a sudden, he just pins. How about, hey, Charlie, or whoever the frick else is an announcer, how about you run up to Shelton and go, hey, pal, where the frick have you been for the last 6 years?
You asked me excellent question.
Where was that interview? And then they get in the ring and do an interview. Hey, here's our new guy. How about we hear from him? What are you doing? Nothing.
That helps me.
No answers. No freaking answers
about Shelton.
Yep. Yeah. Instead, it's like all I'm sitting there going is, why the frick is Shelton Benjamin on my television? Where did he come from? How did he get here? Did his mom drop him off? Where's mama at?
You know,
I don't know why I can't think of my dude's name. Who's the guy on the Bruins everybody hates?
Oh, Brad Marchand.
Brad Marchand. You know why you hate Brad Marchand, right?
He licks people.
He licks people's face. He gives them wet willies. He takes cheap shots. He's a weirdo, right? You know why you hate Brad Marchand. I don't know why I should even give one single frickin' crap about Shelton Benjamin, because for 15 years, you told me that guy sucks. Now, all of a sudden, on July 20th, 2020, I'm supposed to go, oh, crap, Shelton's back, dude? Holy frick. Oh, man, Shelton. Yo, are you watching? Yo, turn it on. Shelton's on. With no explanation. We could end the show right here. That sums up freaking everything, man. It's garbage. there's too many strange guys. There's too many like evil dudes. Too many
guys that should be in Van Helsing.
Yes, like Marilyn Manson or something. Like, I don't know exactly. I'm not goth. I don't even know if goth is still a term. I have no idea. I don't know if that's a big culture thing. I don't think it is. At least not what it used to be. Why are there so many guys like Aleister Black? Why are there so many guys like the Viking Raiders? Why are there so many guys like Karrion Kross and Damian Priest and the Riot Squad and Sanity and Finn Balor and the Wyatt family and the Ascension and people that have crap that they just chant, fall and pray, fall and pray. What is that? It's stupid. Like, I know you have to something for everybody. No problem with that whatsoever. But I just named like 8 dudes, and there's probably been more throughout the years. Why do we keep having these over and over again? Because that audience is so small. There probably is that audience out there, and they need people to cheer for too. But that audience is so small. And the problem with them is, I'm going to go to Aleister. Same thing I keep saying about Andrade. What the frick is Aleister Black? What is he? He comes up like Manson from his thing with the smoke and all that, and then he just fights.
What's your name? I don't care. Shut your mouth.
Why does he do that? Where did he come from? Why does he have all his tattoos? What does his name mean? What is his gimmick? Why is he here? We don't know anything about this dude. He has been on television for years. All I know is he's weird. That's all I know. And I knew he used to
lives under the ring.
Does he live under the ring?
Or the stage, right? The stage?
Yeah. Is that where he sleeps in that thing? I don't know. Like, what's with this guy? You have 3 hours. You can't take me to figure out something. I can't get a 5-minute thing. The only thing they've ever done with that guy is when he was in his dressing room asking, I want to fight, I want to fight. When he was like challenging whoever. They did that, but even that, like, that wasn't like character development. That was a dude who is, I don't know, a fighter that wanted to fight. Why are you the way you are? Why? And there's so many of them, and they never seem to work. And probably because they don't tell us who these guys are. And I have no problem with him. I might like Aleister Black. But again, same thing we talked about before. I don't know anything about these guys, so I don't care. And because they are the way they are, they're not like the majority of human beings out there. The majority of people do not dress like the Riot Squad. The majority of the people do not dress like Sanity. The majority of the people...
Nothing wrong with dressing like that.
No,
you can
they
dress
just
however
don't.
You want.
You got to tell me why I should love or hate these guys.
Right.
And they just go, here's a guy who looks different. Cheer or boo them. That's all they do.
The crazy... who thought... The Viking Raiders headsets or horns, who thought that was a good idea? And they live a Viking lifestyle, so they have to talk. Like they raid and pillage through northern Canada. What is a Viking lifestyle?
They blow horn. Oh,
yeah, I don't. And again, here comes the dad test. What if someone turns on for the first time,
right?
And it's the Viking Raiders. I mean, be honest with yourself. You may like them or something like I mean, maybe there's something in the past that I look back and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad. But you come to realization saying that ain't for everybody. You know, that should be a minor. But the Viking Raiders, they garner some serious TV time, man. Yeah. I mean, comparable in the music industry, and I'm Rob Zombie guy too. I like Rob Zombie. I like his music, but
he's not selling as much as Drake is he?
No, he's not. That's what I'm saying. The death metal, the stuff. I'm not saying I dislike it. I own some of it. But it's
a
not
niche.
Country sells better. Hip hop sells better. R&B sells better. rock and roll or alternative, whatever you call that today. So hell, stuff from the 60s probably sells better. Well, the last one's going to be, I think the two that we're hopefully, and I'm going to go, I'll be kind on this one, but I think, and this one may hurt because I guess maybe I'm in this group too, but I think one of the biggest parts of why wrestling is in such a sad state of affairs, some of us fans have to look solely on ourselves. This first, it's big in Japan, so it's going to be big here. Scott Norton was big in Japan. Ryan, I got a few things for you. Ryan, can you tell me, why did you come to Japan? Question mark. What do you think of when I say that?
Because you weren't big in America yet, or you used to be big.
That's the #1 rated show in Japan right now.
What?
Sakai no Hot Made Ital Q. I hope I'm not trying to be funny, but that is the #2 rated show in Japan.
Explain that again. What you just said wasn't a question to me. That was the name of a show. Mm-hmm. Say it again, because
why did you come to Japan? Question mark.
See, I thought you were asking me, why did a wrestler go to Japan?
So,
I don't know, because he's not over.
Naomi Watabe and Yakuni Kinoshita Fujimoto are two of the biggest celebrities. They're big in Japan.
They're awesome.
Big? In North America. Scott Norton was big in Japan. Just because I am so sick of these guys. I'm not cheering Kenny Omega because he sold out in Japan. I'm not cheering Shinsuke because he sold out in Japan. And both these guys might be good.
They can go. I know they can go.
That's fine. I understand.
So can everybody else.
Yes, so can they. Are no different than anybody else. And I'll keep going a little bit. Fans, the chanting, the shouting, the wanting to be part of the show. And I get it. You paid your money. You want to boo guys.
Wanting to be the show.
Yes. They take it over. I mean, not everybody needs to be wutted off the stage.
What?
How am I supposed to like a face when a heel can't even get the words out of their mouth that they're targeting the face with?
What?
Because you're wutting everything.
What?
Yep. Let them speak. No one goes to the opera or a play or Hamilton and someone's up there going, Thomas Jefferson, what? Let them speak,
Well, I mean, it is
Pennsylvania pissants.
different than Hamilton. It's a different,
But there are points, I assume, in these plays and stuff you can cheer and clap. And, if you want to boo them after they've said, you want to heckle them while they're walking down. And sometimes when they're cutting a promo that's really bad, let them have it.
Right.
I'm not against all this stuff.
Right.
But sometimes, can I just hear what they have to say? Because they can't get it out. And it doesn't flow. It doesn't sound good. And then on top of that, because you're booing, because you're cheering, because you're so involved, we end up getting to see Fandango main event WrestleMania match versus Chris Jericho. And he beats Jericho because everybody thought this guy was over in backstage because everybody's out there clapping their hands and going along with it. Not everything has to be a sing-along, dance-along. I mean, Vince sees that and he's thinking, no way, Jose. They like this guy.
Yeah.
He's over.
Yep.
Look at them. They're all chanting. They love who was the one guy who had the rabbit and the bunny line and everything? Oh, my God.
Adam Rose.
Jeez. We get stuck watching Fandangos, and I'm not – Fandango, I did like when he was with Breeze Dango.
He's still there. Yeah.
I like that gimmick, but – the Fandango thing just got overexposed. Fans chanting. I don't know, man.
The fans are trying to be a character on the show now.
Yes.
Yes, the crowd does play a part. We are seeing that the crowd is important, obviously, during this pandemic. But no, you are not the third character in this play. You're not. And these people are trying to put themselves over everybody. They are trying to take over the show.
You fans can stick it,
and
brother.
I'm just going to – and also this it's almost become a cult where these guys think that somehow they know more. It's remember in the early 90s and then the 90s somewhere, that the idea of anything mainstream music, and maybe this goes back before the 90s and whatever. It could be all, but these people that I can't listen to that because that's mainstream, or I can't listen. I'm like, well, what if it's good? These people have formed this little cult where you can't criticize wrestling inside their little bubble. But
as soon as something, it's like the Green Day. This is what Green Day was huge underground. Then they blew up with the Dookie album, and all the underground fans said, "Screw them." They ditched and they went mainstream. I don't like them anymore because everybody. It was cool when it was their little thing, and now they don't like them anymore.
They knew more, and that's what these people like. Somehow, your opinion is better, and I'm not saying ours are. I'm saying ours are showing we share the same view as a lot of people other than the 1.5 million that is left watching wrestling, and acknowledging there's a problem, whether it's in a relationship or your car or your faucet. That's being an adult, looking at saying this. You don't have to blindly follow it. By thinking like, oh, well, you're just not seeing the symbolism in the swamp match. No, you're not realizing it's just really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing else to it.
And it's okay when your people do something bad. It's okay to say it. Yeah, like, ask some Kanye West fans right now how they feel. Ask how they feel the last 2 years. It's okay when your dude does something dumb to go, yeah, that wasn't good. All right, the last one, and my last one, probably going to be, people aren't going to like this. And hear me out.
That is the order of Shark.
And I will admit, this has nothing to do with the wrestling. This has nothing to do with the product itself as a whole.
Or the wrestlers in it.
Or the wrestlers in it, because I have only watched, like, the pay-per-views, and that's it. As a whole, the NXT product has ruined WWE. It has absolutely ruined it for numerous reasons. I mean, first and foremost, just off the top here, it's another 2 hours of wrestling on network television in the middle of the week. We don't need 5 hours. We don't need Raw and Smackdown, let alone another thing that's 2 hours. And then pay-per-views on top of that once a month. I don't know, NXT doesn't run pay-per-views once a month, but I'm talking about hours of wrestling. I mean, just first and foremost, we don't need that. It also makes so it's underground because it's like counterculture to WWE. People like it. Oh, it's way better in the main roster. So it automatically puts the main roster against the NXT roster, and people battle it out. People try to do, oh, it's way better. So then that just makes people not like your main roster. So you're already in the hole there. People aren't going to think it's good. They're going to bet. It's just stupid. So now you've got your own people now making your main roster look bad. Don't like that. That's the obvious things. It just are too much. The biggest thing to me on why it hurts WWE as a whole is, I don't know how many people were watching on the network. It's been on the network. Now it's on USA. They're getting anywhere from like 600,000 to 800,000 fans, whatever, every week. That's not that many. In WWE used to be over 2 million. Way back it was more. Now you're at whatever, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8. So it's almost like a third of the audience. That's all that's watching NXT every week. A third of your main roster audience, which is shrinking every day. So that means 2/3 of your WWE audience has no clue who these NXT people are. No clue. So even when NXT was at its peak, when you had the 4 horsewomen and whatever the heck else they had, they bring them up to the main roster. and they just put them out there. Let's use Bayley as an example. I knew who Bayley was because I've heard about it all the time from people online. People are, oh, Bayley's the best. Oh, Bayley's so good. Oh, they did such a good job. I don't know who she is. So she comes up to the main roster, and I'm supposed to think this is some amazing person without any vignettes. This kind of wraps up everything we just said. No vignettes whatsoever. They just put her on TV, and I'm supposed to cheer for her because she's happy and wears purple and has the glowy hand things that shoot up in the air. Well, 2/3 of your audience is going, who? Why do I care? Because they did the entire Bayley story arc on NXT. They did, allegedly, this whole I'm just Bayley gimmick, and it peaked and whatever, and people loved it. I didn't see it, so I don't know. They should have done that on WWE TV, but they can't because they already told that story on NXT television. So if they tell it again, well, there's going to be 600,000 people going, I already know all this.
I want to see this. Yep.
So they're screwed either way. 1/3 of the audience is going to go, I've already seen this. I already know all this. And 2/3, if they don't, are going to be like, who is this person? Why do I care? Because they didn't develop her on TV here. They developed her on the network. They blew their wad on the network. She peaked on the network. They had her Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant moment on the freaking network. And they do that maybe with all these guys. We talked about Aleister Black a minute ago. I don't know what they did with that guy on there. They may have done the same exact thing on there. Andrade, they may have done the same exact thing on there. They bring him up here and they go, oh, Andrade's here. And I'm like, oh, who?
You had to explain the American Alpha?
American Alpha.
Apparently there was I got up and they were just two guys in spandex.
Yes. Trying to be the Steiner brothers.
Like a bootleg Steiner brothers, and you were like, oh, apparently there's this whole story about how one wanted the other to tag team, and the other was reluctant at first. I'm not
thought he was a dork, which he is. Yeah.
I'm not saying good story, bad story, good angle, bad angle. I'm saying I don't know that.
I would have liked to see that on Raw.
Right, and they show up, and just to slightly piggyback on what you said earlier, it goes right with this. This is another 2 hours plus for the pay-per-view that the creative team has to. Let's say you get a Hogan Andre angle on NXT. At best case scenario, 50% of your audience missed it.
You're right.
They didn't
and 50% has already seen it. So you can't do it again.
And you burned it.
Yep.
On a show that people aren't watching.
Yes. And you know, there's probably a million. I mean, look at all the guys who weren't like indie darlings even. You know, Kevin Owens was an indie darling. He came, yes, he stopped in NXT and had some good stuff, but he's not an NXT guy. Finn Balor, the character, is an NXT character, but Prince Devitt is Japan. You know, so those guys don't really count. But how many of the Bayley is the perfect example. And there's a lot of this. Where they bring them up, Andrade is the same thing. They bring them up. The Ascension apparently were cool from what I hear. But they
were like long tag team champions.
Yeah, they put them on TV and just act like I know who they are, and I don't. And they never tell me why I should care, why I don't. They just keep putting them out there until they don't get over, and then they turn into jobbers because they don't get over because, oh, why don't you know? They were on NXT for 4 years. Guess what? I didn't watch. So that ruins and they're screwed either way. Like I said, either 600,000 have seen it, so you can't redo it, or if you do redo it, those 600 are gonna be like, eh.
They lost their fire because you're going back to square one with them.
Yes, exactly. And so I don't like that. I think that is stupid. It was obviously way better. And again, they're not going to get rid of it because they're getting money from USA. It was better when it was OVW and these guys were doing their crap where only people in Louisville saw it. Nobody else saw it, or wherever they were at. No one else saw it. Now we all see it. And
goodbye are the days of Mr. Perfect and Goldberg. And I mean, I know you saw it with Asuka, but it's hard to bring up a guy and have them show up, or even a lady, and have them show up as this formidable character.
Right.
I've already seen him lose 3, 4, 5 times.
Yes, that's
on the under show.
That was my next point. You nailed it right there. We've already seen them go up and down on NXT before they even got to the main show. You cannot. The character arc is the biggest thing to me. You can't have the character arc on the main show because they've already peaked down here.
Yep.
The other thing that NXT does, and this is Triple H, I like to call NXT Triple H's wet dream, because this just seems like it's Triple H's playground. If he were to have a wet dream, this is what it would be.
I almost soiled myself.
Every person in NXT has to have some elaborate entrance. Every person.
I would compare it to a Springsteen concert.
Who's like a main dude, and you watch WrestleMania.
At WrestleMania.
Undertaker, part of the big reason he got over was because of his entrance. For whatever reason, people think it's amazing. It's been the same thing for 30 years, but people love it. Who at WrestleMania else always gets a big entrance? And I know other people have, but the last couple of years, those numbers have dwindled. One guy still gets an incredible entrance every year, no matter what. If it's a 4-hour show or an 8-hour show, Mr. H gets a huge entrance every single time, because he saw The Undertaker and go, ooh, that got him over. I'm going to try to do that too. I want everybody, ooh, Triple H's entrance, Triple H's entrance. He has taken that and he has put that on NXT with every single dude. Well, when you do something, as we're finding out with the flip-flop and fly and whatever else, when you do something over and over and over again, it just turns into a clothesline.
Yep, it's not special.
It's not special when somebody has a crazy entrance all the time. And it just so happens, going into what you said, the fans, every one of these entrances is some sing-along with the champ.
You fans can
where there's some, from whether it's No Way Jose or Adam Rose or Fandango or even Shinsuke Nakamura.
And that there's not much to them other than their entrance.
The bell
After
rings.
Their entrance is old or fades, their entrance is them.
And I know they have to. And I know Shinsuke can work. We know Shinsuke can work.
Sure.
But as soon as his music changed, he lost some gas. And there are numerous guys. All those guys.
He was the Intercontinental Champion for like 6, 7, 8, or however many months, and no one even knew it.
And it goes back to what you said a minute ago with the fans. They sing along with this, so Vince and Triple H and whoever go, whoa, we just had 1,000 people singing his song. Yo, he's over. He's way over. Let's bring him up to the main roster. And people are like, is that guy with a bunny rabbit? Adam Rose had that gimmick, and then they did it again with No Way Jose. Exact same gimmick, only the Latin version.
No way, Jose, no way, Jose, no way, Jose, no way, Jose.
And the other thing they do is they bring these guys up there and they put them right in against a champ. Or they put him right in against the top dog.
It has
Here's
happened.
Kevin Owens. You're fighting, and everybody's like, "Oh, he beat John Cena." What does he do now?
You was lucky.
Where do you
Now-
go with this guy?
Now what? Yes.
You know, what do you do?
He peaked his first night in the company. He beats John Cena his first night. Now what? How about Paige? She won the belt her first night in the company at 20 years old or whatever she was. Okay, now what? They just Goldberg pushed her the first freaking night.
And at least she won. What do you do with Shayna Baszler? She made her first match versus a Raw superstar. Becky Lynch beat her.
Right.
So obviously she's not good enough. Now she just like nobody wants to cheer the person that just has to settle in at number 2.
You blew it.
Or something.
And I'll go back to and this kind of goes back to what I said about the metal guys, the tattoo guys, and there are so many of these in NXT. In every NXT entrance or theme song or whatever it is to every pay-per-view is some death metal song or some new metal song. And they got guys that come out that are Damian Priest and Aleister Black and Sanity and freaking Rhea Ripley looks like the female Triple H, dude. I mean, she's Triple H girl. She wears the spiked leather coat. I mean, this is Triple H's wet dream. It's like all these people were just at a Slayer concert. Like it's 1984 with all the pyrotechnics and all the like I am watching a freaking concert at the Roxy back in whatever year, man. And again, that doesn't work for everybody, brother.
Well, you see it like you were saying earlier. They don't make it when they get up.
When they
all the guys who came through NXT, don't tell me Samoa Joe and he was over in Impact. People knew who he was. The whole group of the Shield were working indie shows before they got in there,
except for Roman. But yes,
that's true. You look at guys, they're not making it when you bring them up through that, man.
And everybody's going to say, "Well, that's Vince's fault," and part of that probably is. That's true. But at the same time, the bell rings. When that entrance, the bell rings.
Ding, ding.
And you have to develop these guys. And again, that's Vince's fault.
And they're already developed, like you keep saying, they're already developed to a third to 50% of your audience and a third, 2/3 to 50% of your audience have no clue who these people are,
right?
And they're already on their way up. You got them going up, and I'm supposed to just cheer for them or just boo them,
right?
Like, what? I'm not invested, man.
Right. At the very least, it's 2 extra hours they do not need.
Yes, it's 100%. Not to mention your 3 to 4 hour pay-per-view.
Well, and let's look at this too, Nick. They've had to bring Sasha and Bayley and Charlotte down to NXT and Finn Balor because it wasn't working, because they were losing to AEW. So what was their thing? Oh, well, let's take some of these people and put them back down there. Some of the names that people like who used to be here, let's put them back down there. And they have won. They won the Great American Bash first night because Sasha was in the main event. Well, that tells you you're not working. But that's the same problem as putting Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker and Goldberg in the main event of WrestleMania. It's the same problem. They're not making stars, so they have to take their stars and bring them back down. So now we've gone full circle. Boom.
If anything, you're looking also at a different product, a different writing team, a chance that you may see something different. I mean, if I'm not liking SmackDown and I'm not liking Raw, what in my mind would make me say NXT is that much better?
Right. And this is the minor league show.
Right. Why? And if your angles are that good, why are they not using them on Raw?
Exactly. Yeah, I know that might be controversial, but I really do. I think it is hurting the product more than it's helping the product.
And again, to reiterate what you said, not the wrestlers, it's not the issue with them. It's not the issue with the production of it or anything like that, or the in-ring work or anything like. It's what everything else we just laid out.
Yep. It's what it does to the main product. It hurts the main product. Yep. And they got a lot of hurt, dude. They got a lot of hurt because it is bad. Nick, appreciate it as always, man.
Thanks for having me as always.
We will be back, unfortunately, to trash some more things. Don't like doing it, but it's the way it goes.
Hopefully sooner than later we're not trashing, we're appreciating.
I would love to. I would love to.
Me too.
Till next time. See ya.
Pleasure's all yours, Bucky boys.